What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video, we are checking out the Nokia G400 5G. Now, this phone has actually been out for a little while now, a couple of months, I think. I'm sorry I didn't get to it sooner, but I wanted to take a look at it now because, especially for folks here in the US, this could be a really enticing new budget 5G option that competes with the likes of Samsung and Motorola. It's also sort of an indirect upgrade to last year's Nokia X100, which was a pretty popular device in its own right as well. We'll get into the specs and specifics in just a second here, but first things first, I do just want to quickly unbox this phone so you can see what all comes inside the package when you buy one. So sliding open the box, the first thing we get is the phone itself, of course, which we'll check out in just a second. The first little accessory you'll come across is the SIM ejector tool taped to the inside of the cardboard divider there, so don't miss that. Digging a little deeper, there's a couple instruction and setup guides included. At the very bottom of the package, Nokia does still toss in both a USB-C cable and a USB-C wall plug for charging. What a concept. I'm glad to see that these are still offered with this phone, unlike some other devices. With all that stuff out of the way, here is the Nokia G400 5G once again. It comes in just one color, what Nokia calls Meteor Gray, and right off the bat, I think you can tell that this absolutely looks like a very familiar Nokia smartphone. Now, the full retail price on the G400 is going to be around $270. You can buy it direct, unlocked from Nokia, and I know right now they have it listed for $20 off. Different carriers though, like T-Mobile, Metro, and Consumer Cellular, all price the phone differently depending on your customer status and data plans, but if you're flexible about changing carriers, or maybe you're due for an upgrade, you might be able to snag a good deal from one of them. The G400 is a 6.58-inch smartphone. That's the precise screen size, corner to corner, which is technically smaller than the X100, for example, but with this phone, we do get slimmer bezels all around and a slightly less significant bottom chin, though still prominent enough to have that Nokia logo. Altogether, that accounts for a better 81.7% screen-to-body ratio. In the hand, the taller 20:9 aspect ratio and still quite large display means your fingers will be stretching and your hand will be maneuvering, but if you're used to any other big-ish device from this year, you'll feel right at home. And actually, what's nice about the G400 is it's quite light, not even 200 grams, so it doesn't feel like you have some big old brick at your fingertips. Around back, the Meteor Gray colorway is actually this super glossy, almost smoky mirror metallic finish with a subtle lined pattern, and while it absolutely attracts a ton of fingerprints, it's a pretty good looking phone in my opinion. It is an all plastic build with a thick and sturdy metal-like frame and a flat profile, no curved display, not much of a contour, simple, nothing fancy, but pretty standard for a phone at this price point. Taking a look around, the Nokia G400 fortunately has all the physical features you could want and then some. So on the left side, there's your SIM and SD card tray for expandable storage. You get 64 gigs on board, so popping in an SD card on this phone I think is a must. On the right, familiar volume buttons just above the power button, which does double as your fingerprint sensor, and just testing this out, it seems perfectly quick. I had no issues with setup, and it's been consistently fast in getting me into the phone, which is great. You also do have face unlock, which I think is an even quicker unlocking method. Down at the bottom, the headphone jack is still there, alongside the USB-C port for charging and single speaker setup. The earpiece and selfie camera are up there at the top, and around back, a triple lens AI camera, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Now, the screen on this Nokia G400 I actually think is one of the selling points for this phone, and it is what brings it up to par with the likes of Samsung's A series, and actually puts it ahead of some of Motorola's devices. The 6.5-inch screen is an IPS LCD panel, coming in at the full HD 2408 by 1080 resolution, packing in some 401 pixels per inch. On top of that, it is also a 120Hz adaptive high refresh rate display. You do have to go into settings and enable that option yourself. It isn't turned on by default, and I definitely recommend you do that because you'll get that silky smooth and ultra responsive feel that 120Hz offers. Smoother animations, less choppy scrolling, just a faster feeling phone with every tap, touch, and swipe. 120Hz is the standout feature for the display, but the screen itself, even just being an IPS LCD panel, I think is solid enough too. It's quite bright for what it is, and obviously at this size, you've got a lot of screen real estate to work with. all your content is going to look great, and while it's not OLED, I do think it's calibrated well enough to deliver a bright and colorful look that would be great for most people. I should also mention that at this size, it's critically important that this screen be 1080 resolution. That's where Motorola, for example, cheaps out. You can't have a display be this large with anything lower. Here, the display is plenty sharp, even for the pickiest of pixel peepers. All in all, the G400 certainly offers a viewing experience that I think is decent enough for the price. Just make sure to utilize that 120Hz refresh rate option to really make the most of it. For your out loud listening experience, the single downward speaker is plenty loud enough to get the job done. Yes, I do wish this phone had a dual speaker setup, but most budget devices still don't. And either way, I'm pretty happy with how this phone sounds regardless. Here's an audio sample so you can hear it for yourself. As far as the specs, the Nokia G400 is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 480 Plus 5G processor and the Adreno 619 GPU, paired with 4 gigs of RAM. Here are the Geekbench scores for those of you who like to keep track at home. The phone does ship with Android 12, and one of my favorite things about these Nokia devices actually is the fact that with the software, you basically get a bare bones Android experience that's as close to stock as you're going to get nowadays. And that's great for 2 reasons. For one, there is nothing installed on this phone that shouldn't be there. No bloatware, no garbage apps, no annoying skins or themes or launchers or features that you wouldn't use or wouldn't want, which is important because every gig of space on this device is valuable. But you're still free to customize the phone however you want, of course. On top of that, the software experience is a lot faster and more optimized than you might expect for a phone with these specs because there isn't any extra garbage it has to deal with. What you see is what you get. Your standard suite of essential apps and Google features, and that's pretty much all. It's simple, it's easy to use, and if you want to completely change up the whole phone, you can, but if you want something super simple for just the basics, just to stay connected to the world, like I like to say, you have that here. And I think for most people interested in this phone, that's what they want too. The other benefit of a clean and simple OS is with battery life. Now this phone already packs in a pretty beefy 5,000 milliamp battery, which size-wise is no doubt bigger than average, but coupled with a clean and simple, well-optimized Android experience, Nokia advertises this phone as a 2-day device. And considering my own experience with some previous Nokia devices, I can say that that's certainly a possibility. Of course, I'll put that to the test for my full review, but I think this is a device where battery life is a lot less of a concern in general. You don't get any wireless charging or additional power features, just 20-watt wired charging via that USB-C cable, but I can't imagine you'll be desperately seeking out a power outlet anyway all that often. Finally, when it comes to the camera, Nokia I think did a great job bringing plenty of shooting modes and features to this phone that once again go beyond the competition. Around back, the triple lens AI camera consists of a 48 megapixel main lens, a 5 megapixel ultra wide lens, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. The selfie camera is a respectable 16 megapixel shooter, and inside the camera app, like I said, there's more than enough here to please even the most picture-happy people. Nokia offers certain features that you don't always see on budget devices, like a dedicated night mode, for example, dual sight, which utilizes the selfie and rear lenses at once, pro controls, and a cinema mode for more robust shooting options for pictures and videos, a 48 megapixel high detail photo mode, 60 FPS video, enhanced video stabilization and audio capture. There's seriously twice as many camera features here compared to most other sub $300 devices. And just snapping some sample shots here, the results really look good. The selfie camera is very well balanced. Skin tones are on point, the exposure looks good, there's plenty of detail, and the rear camera pictures are even better. I can't wait to start taking some more pictures and videos with this phone because I really do think it has a lot to offer, and it's probably one of the other standout features for this device in particular. Overall, the Nokia G400 5G seems like a pretty well-rounded sub $300 device. It certainly sticks with the familiar Nokia design and form factor. It offers a better than average 120Hz high refresh rate display and camera setup that certainly can outshoot the competition. I do wish it offered a bit more with the internal specs, but a bare bones Android experience means you get as clean and simple of an OS as you could ask for. That's better performance-wise than the specs may lead you to believe. And I'm excited to use this phone in the coming weeks to see what all it can do. So there you go, that's the Nokia G400 5G. What do you guys think about this phone? Is it something you'd consider right now? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.